So what is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to teach you the easiest way to make sure you sell 2 or more final expense policies or life insurance policies as a life insurance agent in 2025. I am going to give you guys the 5-step process that will ensure that you sell over $10,000 of premium every single week, that will allow you to make 6 figures as a life insurance agent and allow you to actually win in 2025. So if you are tired of not making money as a life insurance agent, if you're tired of setting AP goals and not hitting them, and you're tired of your bank account not growing, I'm going to share with you guys the simplest and easiest way to make sure that you make your money in 2025. Now, before we get started, you might ask, who am I? Well, I am Peter Roberts. I am co-owner here at Legacy Family Life. Before I got started as a business owner, my first year as a final expense life insurance agent, I sold over $500,000 of final expense on my own pen. And even now today at Legacy Family Life, I'm going to teach you guys what I taught my team this principle yesterday, and has allowed my team to sell over $600,000 of final expense last month. So I'm going to give you guys some real gold, some real stuff that actually works in the industry to allow you to make more money. So the first part of making 6 figures as a life insurance agent is making sure you understand this concept, that money is created by presentations. Okay, when you are selling final expense life insurance, you could have an incredible skill set, but if you are not getting presentations, you will not make money. The goal of this game of making money as a life insurance agent is to ensure that you know simple math. So I'm going to teach you simple math that's going to set you up to make 6 figures. Now, when it comes to presentations, a presentation is a quote. You speak to Miss Betty, you give her a quote, that is a presentation. The goal is to have 5 presentations that will allow you to hit your goals. If you are not getting 5 presentations every single day, I want you to know that you have a sales problem or you have a lead problem. Okay. Probably a sales problem, but I'm going to teach you in this video the 5-step process. I call this the 5x5 to ensure that every single day you get 5 presentations to make sure you hit your income goals. So the 5 presentations and the 5 steps here. So the first thing to do before we even get started is to work backwards. Okay. I want you to understand, what is your closing rate right now? We do outbound sales, and ultimately I want you to think about your presentations. Okay. So where is your closing rate? If you have a 20 to 30% closing rate on presentations, then that means that you have a connection issue, that you have a sales issue, that you are not able to overcome objections. Okay. You have a sales problem if you're at 20 to 30% of your presentations, which means it's going to take you a lot of presentations to hit your goals. So you're not an expert right now. So this is a core metric that you can track. Look at your presentations, have a tracking sheet. And if you're at a 20 to 30% presentation to close rate, meaning that you sell typically 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, then you are going to struggle to hit your income goals. Okay. Now, if you're at a 30 to 40% presentation rate, and forgive my fat fingers here, I am currently moving. This is heavy on my mind, so I have to make this video. If you're at a 30 to 40% presentation to close rate, that means you're able to handle some objections, that you're actually pretty strong on the phone, that you understand some objections, that you're you're kind of probably leading with an approval close. When it gets a little hard, you always go to the approval close, but you're not able to handle a ton of objections. When it gets difficult in your sales process and it's a simple kind of like lay down sale, you're able to close. But when it gets complex, when it gets diverse, when they need to think about it, when they need to speak to their spouse, you struggle. So if you're in the 20% range or the 30% to 40% range, you're pretty decent, but you're not where you want to be. The goal to make 6 figures, the first part is to ensure that you have a 50% or higher close rate. Okay. This even gives you the opportunity to sell 2 policies every single day. This gives you the opportunity to sell 3 policies, 4 policies to allow you to hit your income goals. But if you're at any of these tiers, okay, if you're at a 20, 30, you are still a beginner. You need to sharpen your iron. You need to speak to your sales manager. You need to go ahead and get feedback. You need to train. You need to work. You need to put in 50, 60, 70 hours every single day to move on to the next step, which is the intermediate phase. You are starting to put it together, but you just haven't had that confidence to go over to the next level. But still, you're going to have to put in 50 to 60 hours minimum every single day, sharpening your axe and getting better. But when you're at a 50% or higher close rate, I want you to put an E next to your name because you are an expert. Now, this is the first step of making sure you can hit your income goals. This means that, hey, simple math. If I need to sell 10 policies, okay, per week to hit my 10K AP, okay, that means I need 20 presentations, right? Okay, because if I have a 50% presentation rate, if I get 20 presentations, I'll close half and I'll hit my 10 policies. And I'll be a successful agent, I'll hit my goals. But some of us right now are only getting 20 presentations and they are at a 30% close rate and they are not hitting their 10 policies per week. It's because their close rate sucks. So you need to identify where are you at right now before we move forward, because if you're not at a 50% presentation rate, you are going to struggle to hit your goals here, which I'm going to teach you guys today. Okay. Now, if you're at a 50% presentation to close rate, this tells me that you know how to build 100% value. You are an expert. You know how to do the underwriting. You know how to do the medical. You know how to be swift. You know how to be quick. You know how to change the value proposition. You know how to handle all objections. Nearly every objection that comes your way, you know how to win. You are a seasoned professional and you are going to dominate. So the goal is to get to tier number E, which is the expert. Now we're going to jump into how can you ensure that you are getting presentations, because the name of this game, guys, what I want you to teach you is that presentations are going to make you money. Okay. Without presentations, you will not make money. So the first step of getting more presentations is to understand. Step one is to understand, are you at a 30% intro to contact rate? Okay. So 30% intro to contact rate. What does that even mean? If you're doing outbound or you're taking inbound calls, you want to be be able to get 30% of the people that you talk to into a presentation. If you are not getting 30% of the people that you talk to into a presentation, that means that you have an intro problem. Okay, so let me share with you guys the numbers of where you're at and how do you track this? What you do is you take how many people pick up the phone and you divide that by how many people go into presentations. Okay. So you took how many people pick up the phone and divide that by presentation. So if I have one person answer, so if I had 10 people answer and I had one presentation, I have a 10% pickup contact to pickup rate, which is terrible. That means that I need 10 people to answer to get one presentation. But the goal is to get to 30%. Okay. So let me help you identify if you're at 30%. What does that mean in your skill set? That means that you have grit. Okay. I'm going to get back to this concept here in a second, but let's go back to a 20% and then a 30% here, because the goal to get to your six figure is to make sure you have grit. Okay. I'm going to teach that. Now let me just go back here at a 10% contact to presentation rate. This means that you have no warmth. Okay. You have no ability to bring someone's guard down. Okay. And most importantly, you're too fast. Okay. So you have to fix this. And the way that you fix this problem to go from 10% to 20%, and this is really ugly, but you need to make sure that you smile. Okay. I hope you guys are following with me. So you need to make sure that you can smile. So to go from a 10% to a 20%, you need to learn how to bring someone's guard down. And the way that you bring someone's guard down is by simply smiling. Go through your intro with a smile. If your intro sucks, you are not going to win in final expense. And the simplest way that you can win in final expense is to smile to get more people to like you in the first 30 seconds. Okay. Now, when you're at a 20%, what does the 20% range mean? Okay. 20% range means that you have a little bit of a smile, but you're not pushing through any objections. Miss Betty is giving you like, hey, I can't talk right now, and you're setting appointments. Or you're getting someone to call you. They're like, hey, I'm really, really busy, and you're setting appointments. Or you're not pushing through. You have no ability to push through, okay? Without the ability to push through, you are losing presentations, and you're not going to be able to get your goal and hitting those 5 every single day. Because to make your income, again, friendly reminder, is that you need to make sure you're hitting your 5 presentations. Okay. So you're not pushing hard enough. So at step 10%, the goal, the change that is the smile. At 20%, to fix that is that you need to slow it down and you need to push through. Okay. And push. Okay. So you need to slow down your pacing. When Miss Betty gives you an objection, you're not frantic. You're not running. How many of us right now get an objection and you're scared? That means that you need to fix your ability to handle objections. Okay. How many of us get objections and you just like don't know what to say and you're like, okay, and you just spit it out really quickly? That is a problem. So you need to slow down. You need to handle your objections calmly with a calm speed and then acknowledge and overcome the objection. Okay. Now, when you are at a 30%, okay, you are again the expert, okay? And that's where we want to be today, guys. We want to be the expert. At a 30% contact to presentation rate, this allows you have that grit phase, which means that you push through, okay? Number one. Number two, that means that you are sharp. No objections, nothing that comes your way, no objections. I can't talk right now. I'm busy. Call me later. None of that scares you. You're able to stay calm. You're able to acknowledge, and you are not timid. You have thick skin. You are able to acknowledge the objection, overcome it, and then if the objection comes again, you're able to overcome that again. Okay, so the really important part here is that you need to develop grit, okay? And I'm going to teach you guys, if you want to make six figures, you better have this word grit. Okay, so step two, let's zoom in a little bit here, of to getting to our income goals is to develop this grit, okay? And what is grit? Grit is the ability to push through tough circumstances and situations to allow you to hit your goals, okay? So the concept I'm going to teach you when it comes to final expense, when you're selling people who are broke or selling people over the phone or selling people in person, is that you will make your income when you value this. When you value a hang up is greater than an appointment, you will actually start making some money. Now, this is crazy because most of the time we try to set appointments, we try to follow up with people and they don't answer. So why do we stop from pushing through? Okay. The only time that you want to set appointments in final expense is that when the environment doesn't allow for it, okay? When the environment doesn't allow you to push through. When Miss Betty is speaking to her screaming babies and they're yelling with their head out the window, you probably can't sell her a final expense life insurance policy. When Miss Betty, her husband in the background, says, "Get off the dang phone. You don't need to be talking to Jim Bob from Mutual Omaha. You don't need to be talking to anybody. Get off the phone." And someone's getting in the environment, then that's okay to set the appointment, okay? But how many times right now we aren't getting presentations because when someone gives you, "I can't talk right now. I'm home. I'm at the doctor's office." You are taking they're telling you, you are taking what they tell you and you are just letting them win. But instead, you need to understand that hang-ups, let's circle that, hang-ups are where you make your money. So situations that I've encouraged and I push through is when people are at the doctor's, that is typically a lie. When people are in the car, I can still sell you life insurance. When people are on a tractor, I've been able to sell someone life insurance on a tractor, okay? And I've seen it done as well. It's because people need to buy on their time frames. So if you just let them go, if you just kind of just say, "Good luck with your day. I hope you figure it out. Call me later," people will never buy. And ultimately, we're going to go back to the principle. If you are not pushing through, if you're not learning how to overcome them, you will never get presentations. And say it with me. If you do not get presentations, you will not make money selling final expense life insurance. So what I want to teach you guys too is I'm going to go to another page here. I'm going to teach you guys what is the pump fake. The pump fake is the most helpful tool that I've ever used that allows me to overcome objections. And if you suck up objections right now, I'm going to teach you how to learn the pump fake to allow you to make more money. So when Miss Betty tells you, "I can't talk right now, I'm at the doctor's." Okay, this is the most common objection. Or she tells you, "Hey, call me later," or "I'm busy right now, can we talk later?" You acknowledge her objection. Okay, you acknowledge, "Absolutely, Miss Betty. I can totally talk to you later at a better time. What time works better for you?" You fake appointment. You set a fake appointment. So she says, "Well, I want to talk tomorrow at 6 o'clock. My mind tells me she's not going to show up. So I act like she's going to show up. "Okay, Miss Betty, sounds great. I will, no, 6, I have you on my calendar at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Does that still work for you?" She's going to say yes. Okay. And when she says yes, I'm going to ask her, "Now, Miss Betty, just so I can prepare for our 6 o'clock appointment tomorrow, I'm just curious so I can prepare. Are you looking to leave something behind for your family? Are you trying to leave something for your burial expenses?" You ask the next question, and then you forget that she ever even asked you that, and you push through. You do that over and over and over again until she hangs up or until she gets really, really mad at you and you actually have to set the appointment. Because the more hangups you get, the more money you're going to make. Okay. So that's step number 2. Getting to that step number 2 is develop that grit to get that 30%. Step number 3. Okay. Step number 3 is understanding this principle. This is all to make you more money, is that time kills deals. Okay. TKD. That time kills deals. Okay. When it comes to life insurance, when it comes to selling, your biggest constraint that prevents you from making the income that you typically want is your skill set and your time to do it. If I had 24 hours a day to sell compared to someone who has 8 hours, I could just beat you off of the time constraint. I have more ability to dial. I have the ability to put in more effort. I have more ability to source and find leads. So I'm going to beat you. Now, the common mistake that I see in final expense that prevents people from getting their 5 presentations, because 5 is the number that makes us our money and hits our goals, is that they are not a professional. They do not know their script, and they do not know how to overcome objections, and they don't know how to overcome the time constraints of a sales call. So I'm going to teach you guys here really quick the process that will help you ensure that your time does not kill deals. And the first part of this is in your underwriting, okay? As an underwriter and you're selling life insurance, final expense, you need to understand that the medical section is really important because it allows you to build rapport. It also allows you to be an expert. But I want to share with you, to be the expert here, you need to be in and out of the underwriting within 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. So how many of us right now are struggling to make the money because we don't know how to underwrite? So we're spending 7, 12, 20 minutes trying to find the product for the best fits for the client. We don't know what atorvastatin is. We don't know what lisinopril is. We don't know any of these medications. So we struggle to actually make money. Who here does that? That's because you're not a medical expert. So I'm going to teach you what this means. An expert gets it done in 3 to 5 minutes. An expert is able to shortcut. They know the medications. They know the hospitalization. They know the individual nuances for the cares. That will mean that you're an expert, okay? But if you're an intermediate, that means you're probably taking 5 to 9 minutes. You are just able to understand the medications. You are able to understand the small carrier nuances, but you don't know how to eliminate the carriers. If you're a broker, you are like, am I going with this carrier 1? Am I going with this carrier or number 3? Or you're still kind of unsure. You're able to pick the product, what company, but you don't know if it's like this product, which is like the A rating, or like the A minus, which is like the standard rating, or the guaranteed. You still have doubts when you're underwriting. So fix that. And the way that you fix that is you spend time listening to your sales calls, and you find time after work listening to other people underwrite sharp, and read your medication list, understand, study, get flashcards, study with your spouse, and ultimately learn the medications so that you can be quick. Now, if you are a beginner, you are going to hurt yourself. You are not going to get your presentations, because if this is taking 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to spend, over an hour or 25 minutes or 30 minutes. You can spend half of your day underwriting and not presenting. So this means you have a time constraint that's going to prevent you from hitting your goals, okay? Which is a huge issue. So if you're an all-time beginner, you need to understand every understand every medical, every condition, every carrier. You need to spend your days waking, studying the script before you even get on the phones. If you're not making the money that you need to make, and you're terrible at underwriting, it's probably because of this. So if you just fix your underwriting and you can just study and get sharp, and you can understand lisinopril, carbidopa, hydrochlorothiazide, hospitalizations, diabetes, metformin, gabapentin, and you are an expert underwriter, you will win. But if time kills deals, such as you're spending 15, 20 minutes in underwriting, you will not make money. I promise you that. Now, the second part is the discovery, okay? You can literally beat life insurance agents by having a shot clock, okay? Everyone write that down. If I have a shot clock, okay, I can win, okay? Because if my presentation takes 2 hours, okay, and I work at a 6-hour day, right, of actually calling, because I have an hour of lunch and an hour of training, okay, I can only do 3 presentations, okay? Which means I will never get to my 5, and I'll never hit my income goals or never make the money that I want to make. Which means if your script is long, if it's lengthy, and you are going through in hours and hours, you have a serious problem, okay? The goal is, where I was, is within 15, this is the money maker, so I put a money sign there, to 20 minutes, your presentation should be going into a sale. Okay, within 15 to 20 minutes, you need to understand how to weed out the wrong buyers. You need to understand who's pulling my leg here, who doesn't have value. How can I get to the numbers here? You need to sell to people's strength. If Mr. Jimmy is like rushing you and being quick, and you're being really slow, methodical, and being really laid back in your sales process, he will not buy from you because you are not selling to his style. You can hold control of the conversation, but ultimately you need to sell to his style. Okay. So 15 to 20 minutes is the goal to get from presentation to an application, which means if you don't know how to transition well, you're going to struggle, which means you don't know how to underwrite well, you're going to struggle. If you don't know how to go through the credibility well, you're going to struggle. If you don't know how to ask the right questions well, you are going to struggle. If you don't know how to get people back on pace, you are going to struggle. Old people love to talk, okay? You need to understand that you need to hear them out and you need to get them back on page. Because a lot of times you're going to sell people, they're going to get off topic and they're going to get off the la la land, and you're not going to be able to sell them because they just spent 45 minutes talking about their sister's uncle. Okay. And then you are like, oh, I'm too tired. And you spend an hour and you never presented to them. So your time is valuable is all I want to teach you there. Okay. Step number 4. Okay. Let's keep going. Y'all are still with me here. This is literally the deep stuff that actually works in this business. Step number 4 is that you need to learn to hunt. Okay. I want you to write this down on your paper. You need to become a hunter if you want your 5 presentations. The story that I shared with my team yesterday is that there was a snowstorm when I was back in Maryland selling high ticket tree removal, and I was a 20-year-old kid selling high ticket tree removal packages. A snowstorm came, an emergency snowstorm, and I could see all around us that the communities had their trees coming down. People were calling in saying that there's snow, that there's tree having issues. And there was other salesmen in that office, and they all waited around the phones, huddled around waiting for someone to pick up the phone and call in about the snowstorm damaging their trees. But instead, what I did is I got in my car, I traveled the icy roads, and I went into the wealthy communities in the area, and I knocked on doors and found the trees that were already down in their front yard. And I said, hey, Miss Betty, this tree looks like it just got really bad snow damage from the ice. Do you want us to remove it? And they were like, obviously, and I would sell them. So I went from being someone who's just kind of just timid, waiting around, to someone who is actually going out there to hunt. And this is my strength in final expense, is that you need to become a hunter, okay? And what does a hunter do? The goal is not to just show up every day to make sales, okay? That is not the goal. The goal is to get presentations. Because I knew if I could get my presentations every single day, I would make the money that I would want to make as a life insurance agent. So how did I do this? I had like 5 really key points that allow me to hunt. Number 1 is that when it's slow, I would extra dial, okay? Now, dials and activity all help get back to presentations. Why does everyone tell you make 200 dials or 300 dials? Or the more dials that you do, the more presentations. Because dials will help directly contribute to your activity, okay? And with extra activity, you create more presentations and more opportunities, okay? So when it's slow, you need to add in extra dials. A lot of times you would just do a double dial, or you call your leads once, call them in the morning, call them in the evening. But instead, when it's slow, you're going to add in an extra dial. You're probably going to add in, if you're a hunter, another phone call from a phone number that's a different number. You're probably going to leave, number 2, a different voicemail. You are going to have to contact your leads like you need them to answer. So I always make this analogy to my team. Let's say you have a brother and he went away on a trip and you're just calling to see if he's safe. What would you do if he doesn't answer his phone? You're going to get worried. You're going to panic. You're going to text him 2 times. You're going to call him 3 times. You're going to leave a voicemail. You're going to show him a text. You're going to ask the friends. You're going to leave him like, hey, a special message, because you're going to be worried for your brother. And if you ran like this in your final expense business, I promise you, and you actually had to get people on the phone and you intentionally focus on that, you will make more money. So leave voicemails. Hey, John, call me back. And call them in the evening. Hey, John, just want to make sure that you're doing all right. Give me a call when you get the chance. So leave voicemails. Number 3 is to establish a hit list. Okay. I talk about this a lot in my videos, but when it comes to a hit list, it's a great way to fall back on an option. If you are not getting the pickups, if you're not getting the presentations, go back to your hit list. Look at the people that you've talked to 4, 5, 10, 12, 18 days ago who you've quoted but you've not heard it back from, or hung up on you in mid-presentation and you need to get them back on the phone. If you can find a way to hunt and have a time when it's slow, instead of taking your lunch and lollygagging and taking an hour and 30 minutes scrolling through social media and going ahead for a walk because you need a mental reset because you're having a rough day because no one's picking up, take a 2-minute walk, drink a sip of black coffee, get in your chair, and go to your hit list and dial away. Get on the phones, hit that hit list. Find the people that are looking for a deal, because you have to be a hunter. You got to smell the blood. If you can't smell the blood or don't know how to find the animal or take down something, you will not make money in this industry. So you have to have that passion, that drive, and you have to be willing, when you're being slow and your hit list not working up, to put in more hours. 8 hours is not enough selling final expense life insurance. If you're not hitting your goals, you need to fix something. It might be your activity. Okay. So number 4 on your hunting strategy is to make tallies throughout the day. Look at my screen. Tally, 1 answer, 2 answer, 3 answer, 4 answer, 5 answer, sale. Okay. This is what my day looked like when I was a life insurance agent. Every single day, I made a clear metric to do my 5. When I would speak to Jimmy, I would put 1 down. When I talked to Miss Betty, I'd put 1 down. When I put Miss Carol down, it would be 3. And then weirdly enough, it would be 5 p.m. and I have 3 presentations, but my goal's 5. What do? I know that I'm going to work till 6. I'm going to work till 7. And you might think this is crazy, but if I want to make 6 figures, if I want to change my life in life insurance, I got to do something different. So being visible and just having that tracking in front of you every single day does not give you an excuse to not hit your goals. Okay. If you have to weigh yourself after you eat, you are going to eat less. Because if your goal is to lose weight, you're going to be more conscious. And if your goal is to hit 5 presentations and you see that you're tracking this every single day religiously, you will make more money. You'll hit your 5 presentations. And if you take this actually serious, I promise you it will work. Okay. Lastly, 5th way is to increase your presentation by the his and her strategy. Okay, so after you sell a gal, you always want to ask if her husband, her spouse, or an uncle. Using referrals to make you more money is going to help. But the reason that you're going to make more money is because referrals close higher, but you're also going to get more presentations. So imagine if you had 1 presentation, turn that into 1 sale, and that 1 sale led to another presentation. So you took 1 presentation and actually turned it into 2 presentations, because then you spoke to their husband, or you spoke to their daughter, or you spoke to their sister that's in the living room with them. Be intuitive here. You have to always think, mind, eye on target, eye on goal, 5 presentations. If I'm at 4 and I hear the husband in the background, I'm going to ask, well, does your husband need a policy? Well, let's go ahead and find him some options. So being interested in finding other people policies around you and getting more presentations will help you make more money by going for the referral strategy. Last thing I want to share with you guys, step number 5, one of my team members, one of my agents that I love, shout out Q, he planted this seed of value in my head that was really important. He was listening to one of my calls and he says, Peter, what you do very well is that you turn everyone into a presentation. In your sales style, you are able to give people, let me make a person, a reason to listen to me, to listen, okay? So here's what I'm telling you about. When someone calls in and they tell you, well, I'm looking for something cheaper, life insurance, and you just say, okay, you figure out that you can't find them cheaper. You go to toolkits, you go to your quoter, you go to your products, and you realize that they're in a great position. You don't just hang up the phone, Peter. You find all angles of value. And what you do is you start trying to go through different angles. You try to find something that's more affordable, okay? You try to find them something that has no waiting period. You have them something to add on. So when someone calls in, and they're looking for something affordable, I'm able by the end of the conversation, get them to start thinking about why they need more life insurance. When someone tells me that they want a policy with no 2-year waiting period, and I can't find them with something without a 2-year waiting period, I'm getting them to think about maybe they should add on more coverage. So every time I'm speaking to someone, I really value our time. I'm trying to find, how can I turn this person into a presentation? What do I need to say? What angle do I need to go after? How do I need to navigate this conversation to get my presentation? Rather than answering the phone, thinking there's no value, well, Miss Betty, I can't find you anything cheaper. I hope you have a great day. And then hanging up. No, I would take that conversation, I would probe, and ultimately, I'm going to make sure that I'm always finding people value. Now, the second thing that you want to share with you guys when it comes to step 5 is that people will hang up on you. If you're getting presentations and people are just hanging up on you, you are not giving them a reason to listen to you. So if you're going through the intro, the medical section, and they're hanging up after 5 minutes and you're unable to get your presentation, it is because you are not giving them a strong reason to listen to you. When you are selling final expense, our clients are on fixed incomes. When you're selling final expense, your clients love to hear the word affordable. When you're selling final expense, our clients love to hear day 1 coverage, okay? And this is the important thing that you need to understand is that when you are selling them, when you're in your process, you need to make them sound like you've helped people in their demographic. Okay. So Miss Betty's like, I'm on a really tight budget. You want to plant this seed. Okay. Well, Miss Betty, I hear you. We work with people on fixed incomes. Is that you? And her eyes are going to light up. Oh yeah, that's me. How did you know? Well, Miss Betty, I work with people who look for like really, really affordable policies because they have really tight budgets. Is that you? Absolutely. She's going to plant the seed. Well, Miss Betty, I work with people who typically have a lot of like health concerns that look for day one coverage. Is that you? Yes. Or Miss Betty, I typically help people find really, really affordable or cheap rates. Would that be helpful for you? So early on in the call, if you're able to plant the seed, if you're able to give people a reason to look for you, if you're able to actually take every presentation, provide value as best you can, and key as fast as you can, people will listen to you. They will stay on the phone. So if you want to make sure that this year you make the most amount of money selling final expense, you need to make sure you go for the 5 presentations. First thing you need to do is track what is your closing rate, because your closing rate will determine how many presentations you need to make the money that you want to make to sell your 2 policies. If I sell at a 50% presentation to close rate, I know I need, 5 presentations to make my 2 sales, which means ding, 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 I'll hit my goals. If I know that I can track my intro to contact to presentation rate, if I'm at a 30%, I will hit my presentation goals. If I know how to develop the grit and go for hangups, not appointments, I will hit my presentation rates. If I know that I can be quick, be efficient in the underwriting, be fast in my discovery, and know that time kills deals, that I can sell people within 15 to 20 minutes, I will hit my presentation rate. If I know that I will learn to hunt every single day by finding, tracking, calling, voicemailing, sitting down and doing the hard work every single day to hunt, I will hit one presentation. And if I know I get Miss Bay on the phone and I'm right to the point, I bring her value, I share with her what she wants to hear, I tell her I work with people on fixed incomes, I know I will bring her value. She will buy a policy. And this is how you'll make more money and win in final expense in 2025. Take care. Love y'all. See ya. Cheers.